This mother is facing the heartbreaking prospect of having to plan her wedding and her funeral at the same time, after receiving a devastating diagnosis. Natalie and her fiancé, Idris, had been best friends for years, until their friendship turns into something deeper, and finding out she was pregnant was one of the happiest day of their lives. In a few weeks' time, Natalie Sanders will walk down the aisle, holding her 3-year-old son's hand to marry the love of her life, at Crossbasket Castle in Blantyre. But while it will be the happiest day of her life, it will also be tinged with sadness. Before she was diagnosed, Natalie, 29, from Coatbridge, Scotland, was a healthy and happy young woman, and it wasn't until one day her son brushed against her that she felt a sharp pain in her breast. Thinking she had an inflamed cyst, she went to the doctor, who thought the same but ordered blood tests, which came back clear. But weeks later, the pain became excruciating. This time she was sent for a mammogram and biopsy, and, in October 2019, she went for an appointment with Idris, where she was told the news everyone dreads: it was breast cancer. Then she was told she needed to have the lump removed, as well as a course of 8 chemotherapy sessions and a double mastectomy with reconstructive surgery to ensure the cancer wouldn't come back. It was terrifying, but she stayed calm, reassured there was every reason to expect the treatment would be a success and hopefully everything would get back to normal. In January 2020, when she was lying in bed feeling exhausted after a chemo session, Idris called her downstairs. Idris and Zeke were both standing there, dressed up smartly in suits. In front of them was a jigsaw puzzle with a picture of them on it and the words, "Will you marry me?" She hurried back upstairs to get her wig, thinking, "I'm not going to be bald for my romantic proposal." It was so special. Because the prognosis looked hopeful, they decided they would save up and wait a few years to marry. She pictured a snowy wedding in Switzerland surrounded by all their friends and family. Then, in the midst of Natalie's chemo treatment, the coronavirus pandemic struck and her double mastectomy and all chemo sessions were cancelled. She was terrified what this meant for her recovery, but in May last year she was told the lumpectomy and the 6 chemo sessions had been enough. Despite being given the all-clear, Natalie still had a niggling pain in her breast, but doctors thought it was a build-up of fluid which would clear in time. But the pain worsened, and by September last year, her breast felt so swollen and sore that she struggled to sleep. More tests and a CT scan followed. And Natalie knew something was wrong when the nurse suggested that she brought Idris with her to the appointment the next day. Sitting down with her consultant, Natalie said, "I know the cancer's back, but please just tell me it's not stage 4. She pleaded to her consultant. But the consultant's face told her all she needed to know. Her world came crashing down. She was told she only had between 6 and 12 months to live. And all she could think of was her son not having a mommy to look after him. Telling friends and family was so hard. They were back in lockdown by then, so she made some difficult phone calls and, of course, there were no comforting hugs. She was determined to stay strong for Zeke. They agreed not to talk about cancer in front of him and concentrated on making family memories, walks and parks and zoo trips. But when she and Idris were alone, the tears flowed. She would wake in the night panic-stricken at the thought of leaving him and Zeke. Idris will hold her, saying, "I'm here, I'm not letting you go." Immediately after the diagnosis, Idris said he wanted them to get married straight away. Who knew how long she had left? Friends rallied round and a charity called Wedding Wishmakers heard their story and stepped in to help. Since then, firms have come forward offering photography, flowers, bagpipes, hair, and makeup. It's been incredible and she is so grateful. Her cousin Charlene bought her wedding dress and a friend of her cousin offered them the use of Cross-Basket Castle for the wedding ceremony last May 8. "It's such a stunning venue, the stuff of dreams," she said. "It's so sad to think that my loved ones who'll be dancing at my wedding will be wearing black just a short while later. Amid the excitement of the wedding, I've had to be practical and plan for my funeral. Natalie is really sad to think of her son without his mom," she said. "I'm not scared of dying, but the thought of leaving my son without a mom really breaks my heart. I want him to know I'm fighting for him." At the moment Natalie is on newly licensed Pfizer drug called Taltzina, which she's hoping will give some extra time with her family. She added, "I could never have imagined I'd be planning my wedding and my funeral at the same time, but I know I'm lucky to have had a good life, to have found love and a family."